When I first met Olivia in 6th grade, she was the loudest, most confident person in the room. She had this way of making friends instantly, like she'd known you forever, and she wasn't afraid to speak up, even in front of the teachers. I was the complete opposite. I was quiet, shy, and always worried about saying the wrong thing. But somehow, she decided I was going to be her best friend. It started in the cafeteria. I was sitting alone with my peanut butter sandwich when she walked up, plopped her tray down across from me, and said, "You're sitting with me from now on." I remember blinking at her, completely confused. No one had ever just done that before. But she grinned like it was the most obvious thing in the world. That day, we promised each other we'd always have each other's backs. She told me she'd be my voice when I was too scared to speak, and I told her I'd be her calm when she got too worked up. And for years, that's exactly what we were, two halves of one friendship that everyone in school knew about. If you saw me, you saw Olivia. We were inseparable. By the time we got to junior year, we built this whole life together, inside jokes, shared dreams, matching bracelets we made at summer camp. We even planned to go to the same college. We had this dream that we'd both end up in Boston, living in some tiny apartment with exposed brick walls, sharing takeout on the couch, and talking about how we'd made it out of our small town. Then came the scholarship. It was the first time something we both wanted wasn't just an idea, it was real. Our school announced that a major foundation was offering a full-ride scholarship to any student who showed academic excellence, leadership, and community involvement. Only one student from our entire high school could win. And it wasn't just the money, it was the prestige. Winning meant doors opening for internships, special programs, even connections that could define your career. We both decided we'd go for it. At first, it felt like we were doing it together, helping each other with essays, practicing for interviews, comparing our resumes. We'd stay up late in her room, sprawled across the floor with our laptops, tossing ideas back and forth. I thought, even if only one of us wins, we'll still be proud of each other. But looking back, I realized something changed in her around that time. It was subtle at first, small comments that made me second-guess myself, little reminders that she had more leadership experience, that she'd been involved in more clubs. She'd laugh after saying it, like it was a joke, but the words stayed with me. Then there were the times she forgot to send me reminders about deadlines or school events, but always made it to hers on time. Or when she offered to help edit my essay but came back with it completely rewritten in a way that didn't even sound like me. I brushed it off. She was my best friend. She'd never actually try to hurt me. Right? The night before the final interview, she called me. Her voice sounded shaky, like she'd been crying. "Whatever happens tomorrow," she said, "we're still us. Promise?" I smiled, even though my stomach was tight. Promise. The interview went better than I ever expected. I walked out of the room feeling like I'd just done something incredible. Olivia walked out a few minutes later, her expression unreadable. She didn't say much on the way home. 2 weeks later, they made the announcement at a school assembly. I sat in the bleachers, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. The principal called my name. For a second, I froze. Everyone was clapping, teachers smiling, people cheering. And then I looked at Olivia. She was clapping too, but it was slow, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. It was the first time in years that I couldn't tell what she was thinking. After the assembly, she hugged me. "You did it," she said. But her voice, it was flat, distant. I told myself she was just processing. This was a big deal for both of us. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that in that moment, Olivia had already decided she was going to make me regret winning. And she was going to use every ounce of the trust I'd ever given her to do it. At first, nothing seemed different. Olivia still sat with me at lunch, still walked with me to class, still texted me late at night about the latest gossip or what we were going to wear to prom. But I could feel it, that invisible shift between us. It was like there was a glass wall now, something thin but unbreakable, separating what we used to be from what we were becoming. It started with whispers. not from her directly, but from people who were never interested in talking to me before. Girls from the cheer squad who barely knew my name would glance over their shoulders, giggle, and lean in close to each other when I walked past. A couple of guys from the soccer team, who used to greet me because they were friends with Olivia, suddenly looked at me like I was some kind of fraud. One afternoon, in the library, I overheard two girls from our year talking. I mean, I heard she only got the scholarship because her parents know someone on the board. No way. But, I mean, she's not even in as many clubs as Liv. I froze. My parents didn't know a single person on the board. They barely had time for school events between work shifts. And yet, there it was, the first crack in my reputation. I tried to laugh it off when I told Olivia about it later. She tilted her head, pretending to think. Ah, I wonder why people are saying that. Maybe they just don't understand how you got it. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it, like she was planting a seed, making sure that idea took root. Over the next few weeks, more rumors started popping up. People said I lied on my application, that I padded my volunteer hours, that my interview was rigged because the panel felt sorry for me. Each time I heard something, it was like a tiny blade sliding between my ribs. I started questioning everything. I began to wonder if maybe I had gotten lucky. Maybe I wasn't as deserving as I thought. And Olivia was always there, subtly feeding that doubt without ever taking the blame. She'd say things like, I mean, you're really smart, but you know how competitive this was. It's kind of crazy you got it over some of the other applicants. Or, you're so lucky they didn't ask more about leadership. That's the hardest part. Lucky. That word started to feel like an insult. The turning point came at the senior fundraiser. Every year, our school held a big charity event to raise money for local causes, and the entire student body got involved. Olivia and I had always run the raffle booth together. This year, when I showed up, she was already there, standing with Madison, the head cheerleader, both of them wearing matching shirts and laughing like they'd been best friends for years. Oh hey, Olivia said casually when she saw me. We needed more help with ticket sales, so Madison's taking over here. You can help clean up after the bake sale table. I stood there, stunned. This had been our thing since freshman year. I looked at Madison, who gave me a smile that was more like a smirk. Olivia didn't even look back as she turned to talk to her new partner. That night, I went home and stared at my phone, waiting for Olivia to text me. She didn't. The next day at school, she acted like nothing happened. By the end of the week, she wasn't sitting with me at lunch anymore. She was surrounded by people I'd never seen her hang out with before, people who'd always been dismissive toward me. Every time I walked past, I felt their eyes on me, felt the judgment, the laughter they didn't even try to hide. Then came the post. One morning, I woke up to find my phone buzzing nonstop. When I opened it, I saw someone had posted a screenshot of what looked like my scholarship essay, but with entire paragraphs rewritten to sound arrogant and fake, like I'd bragged about achievements I never had. The caption read, "Guess money really can buy anything." The post had hundreds of likes and dozens of comments, all questioning how I'd really gotten the scholarship. Some people tagged me directly. My hands shook as I scrolled, my chest tightening until I could barely breathe. I ran to the bathroom and locked the door, my phone still in my hand. I wanted to scream, to tell everyone it was fake, but I didn't even know where to start. Who would believe me now? The post looked so real. And then I saw it, the username that had liked the post within minutes of it going up. Olivia. I told myself it didn't mean anything. Maybe she'd just seen it and didn't realize she'd tapped the like button. But deep down, something inside me cracked. When I finally confronted her about it, she gave me this wide-eyed, innocent look. What? I liked it by accident. Besides, people post stuff like that all the time. You can't take it seriously. But it's not true, I said, my voice trembling. She shrugged. Then ignore it. The more you talk about it, the more people will believe it. It was like talking to a stranger. Over the next month, it got worse. Teachers started looking at me differently, like they weren't sure if they could trust me. Group projects became nightmares. No one wanted to work with me. I even caught my guidance counselor hesitating when I mentioned the scholarship, as if she wasn't sure whether to congratulate me or not. Everywhere I went, I felt like I was walking through a storm I couldn't escape. And Olivia was right there in the center of it, smiling like she hadn't just set the whole thing in motion. But I still didn't know why. Why would she destroy me like this? We'd been through everything together. She'd held my hand when my parents almost divorced, cried on my shoulder when her dog died, snuck me into her room the night she failed her driving test and couldn't stop sobbing. We were more than friends. We were family. And family doesn't do this, right? I told myself there had to be a reason, a misunderstanding, something I wasn't seeing. But the truth was, I wasn't ready to face it yet. I had no idea that the answer was coming, and when it did, it would change the way I saw Olivia forever. By the time spring rolled around, my life at school felt unrecognizable. I used to walk through the hallways with my head up, knowing that Olivia and I had each other's backs no matter what. Now, I kept my eyes down, clutching my books like they could shield me from the stares and whispers. My grades were slipping, not because I wasn't trying, but because I couldn't focus. Every time I sat down to study, I'd remember another rumor, another smirk from someone I thought I could trust. And Olivia? She was thriving. It was like she had reinvented herself overnight. She was suddenly at the center of everything: student council meetings, cheer practices, planning committees. Her Instagram was full of pictures with her new friends, all smiling in coordinated outfits, arms linked like they'd known each other forever. Every post got hundreds of likes, and the captions were dripping with this perfect, curated positivity that didn't match the person I used to know. It wasn't just that she had moved on, it was that she was actively erasing me from her life. The final straw came during the senior honors banquet. It was supposed to be this beautiful night where our achievements were celebrated, where our families could see us at our best. I had been dreading it for weeks, but my mom insisted we go. We walked into the banquet hall together, me in a simple navy dress, my mom wearing her favorite scarf, and I instantly felt the shift. Conversations dipped into hushed tones when I passed. People looked at me, then quickly looked away. When they called my name for the scholarship recognition, I stood up, forcing a smile, but the applause felt muted compared to the cheers that erupted for other students. I spotted Olivia across the room, sitting at a table surrounded by her new friends. She didn't clap. She didn't even look at me. Then came the moment that would haunt me for weeks. After the dinner portion, a slideshow played on the big projector, highlighting seniors and their accomplishments. I knew my picture was coming. I had submitted it along with a short bio weeks ago. But when my slide appeared, something was wrong. The picture was the same, but my bio had been altered. Instead of listing my actual activities, someone had replaced them with things like self-proclaimed overachiever and queen of taking credit for others' work. The room erupted in laughter. My stomach dropped. I felt my mom's hand squeeze mine under the table, but I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. When the slideshow ended, I slipped out to the hallway, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I leaned against the wall, trying to steady my shaking hands. That's when I heard it, laughter, low but unmistakable, coming from around the corner. I turned and saw Olivia standing with Madison and two other girls, phone in hand, watching the slideshow replay on someone's laptop. That bio was perfect, Madison said between giggles. Olivia smirked. Well, if the shoe fits. My vision blurred. For a second, I thought about confronting her right there, screaming until the entire banquet turned to watch. But I didn't. I couldn't. My throat felt tight, my legs weak. Instead, I walked out the side door into the cool night air and kept walking until I was far from the noise, far from the lights, far from her. The next morning, I couldn't get out of bed. My mom came in, her voice gentle. Sweetheart, what happened last night? You left so suddenly. I shook my head, biting my lip to keep from crying. It's nothing. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. I was drowning, and every time I tried to come up for air, Olivia found another way to push me under. It wasn't just the public humiliation, it was the betrayal. The girl who used to promise she'd always be on my side was now the one aiming the sharpest knives at my back. And still, I needed to know why. A week later, the answer started to take shape. I was in the library after school, trying to catch up on an English essay, when I overheard two students whispering a few tables over. "Did you hear about Olivia and the scholarship thing? What about it?" She thought she had it in the bag, but when she didn't get it, she found out her parents had already promised her a car if she won. Guess that didn't work out. They laughed, but my mind was spinning. A car? Olivia's parents weren't poor. They could have bought her one anyway, but maybe the car wasn't the point. Maybe it was about what it represented. Winning meant being the best. It meant being chosen. And I had been chosen over her. Suddenly, things started to click. The coldness. The rumors. The sabotage. It wasn't random. It was calculated. She wasn't just angry. She wanted to punish me for something I didn't even realize I had taken from her. That night, I went home and pulled out the showbox under my bed where I kept all our old notes, photos, and bracelets. I flipped through them, searching for the Olivia I used to know. There was the note she passed me in math class, telling me I was the smartest person she knew. The Polaroid from our first homecoming, where she had her arm around me and we were both laughing so hard we couldn't keep our eyes open. The friendship bracelet she'd made with our initials in tiny beads. I sat there on the floor, the box open beside me, and felt this deep, hollow ache. I didn't just lose my best friend, I lost the history we'd built together. And I couldn't figure out how to get it back. But deep down, I knew something else. If I didn't do something soon, she was going to destroy whatever was left of my reputation before graduation. And then, one afternoon, I stumbled onto something that told me Olivia's game was far from over. It started with a message request on Instagram. No name, no profile picture, just a single line of text. "If you want to know what Olivia's been saying about you, meet me after school behind the gym." I stared at the message for a long time, my thumb hovering over the screen. It could have been a prank. It could have been a trap. It could have been Olivia herself, trying to set me up for another round of humiliation. But my gut told me this was different. The words felt urgent. And if there was even the slightest chance I could finally find out why she was doing this to me, I had to take it. After the final bell rang the next day, I made my way toward the back of the gym. The area was mostly empty, just the chain link fence, a few scattered trash cans, and the faint hum of the vending machine by the doors. I pulled my jacket tighter, glancing around, feeling that nervous flutter in my chest. Then I saw her. It was Emily, quiet, bookish Emily from my chemistry class. She wasn't part of Olivia's circle. In fact, she rarely spoke to anyone unless she had to. She was leaning against the fence, hands shoved in her hoodie pocket. "You came," she said, pushing her glasses up her nose. "Yeah. Why did you message me?" I asked cautiously. Emily glanced around like she was making sure we were alone. "I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything. But I've been hearing things Olivia's been saying about you. And it's bad." I felt my stomach knot. "Like what?" She hesitated. "She told people you cheated on the entrance exam for the scholarship. That your parents paid someone to make sure you won. And she's been saying you've been talking behind your friends' backs. Making up stories about them. That's not true." My voice came out sharper than I meant. "I know," Emily said quickly. I didn't believe her. But a lot of people do. "She's convincing." I shook my head, trying to understand. "Why would she do that?" Emily's eyes softened. "Because you won. And she didn't. And she can't stand not being the one in the spotlight. I think she wants to make sure that by the time you graduate, there's nothing left of your good name." The words hit me like ice water. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't just her being hurt. This was intentional. Emily hesitated again, then pulled out her phone. "There's something else you should see." She scrolled for a moment before handing it to me. On the screen was a private group chat, one I wasn't in, filled with names I recognized: Madison, a few cheerleaders, and Olivia. I read the messages, my pulse hammering in my ears. Olivia. Got the fake essay ready. Sending it to Maddie now. Madison. This is gold. Olivia. Make sure everyone sees it. She's not getting away with acting like she's better than all of us. Olivia. Oh, and wait until the banquet. I've got something planned for her bio. I couldn't read anymore. My hands were shaking too hard. She wrote this? My voice was barely a whisper. Emily nodded. I thought you should know. And I think you should do something about it. I wanted to. God, I wanted to march right into the cafeteria, throw the phone down on her table, and let everyone see exactly who Olivia really was. But my chest felt tight. My mind was spinning. All I could think about was how many people already believed her lies. What if no one cared about the truth anymore? Emily must have sensed my hesitation. Look, you don't have to decide now. But if you let this go, she'll think she can get away with it. And she will. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the chat messages in my head. I thought about the promise we'd made years ago, sitting in her room surrounded by snack wrappers and school books, that we'd always have each other's backs. She hadn't just broken that promise. She'd shattered it, then used the pieces to cut me open. At 2 a.m., I pulled out my laptop. If she could play dirty, so could I, but I wasn't going to stoop to her level. I was going to fight with the truth. I started gathering everything I had: screenshots Emily had sent me, text messages from Olivia that hinted at her jealousy, old emails from our teachers praising my work, the original scholarship essay file with the timestamp showing when I'd written it. Piece by piece, I built a folder. It wasn't about revenge. Not yet. It was about survival. The next day, I walked into school feeling different. Still nervous, still hurt, but there was something else now. Resolve. I kept my head down until lunch. Olivia was sitting at her usual table, the one she'd stolen from me, surrounded by her inner circle. She laughed at something Madison said, flipping her hair like she didn't have a care in the world. I didn't go over. Not yet. Instead, I went to the library and found Emily. You still have those screenshots? I asked. She nodded. Why? Because I'm done letting her win. By the end of the week, I had a plan. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. But it was going to hit her where it hurt the most: her carefully crafted reputation. There was one event left before graduation where the entire senior class would be together: the end-of-year awards assembly. Parents, teachers, students, everyone would be there. If I wanted to expose her, that was my moment. And I wasn't going to waste it. But Olivia wasn't finished either. 2 days before the assembly, I found something in my locker: a folded piece of paper with a single sentence written in thick black marker. You don't deserve what you have. And I'm going to take it back. There was no signature. No name. But I didn't need one. I knew exactly who it was from. And suddenly, I realized that whatever happened at that assembly, it wasn't just going to end the rumors. It was going to end us permanently. The morning of the awards assembly, my stomach was in knots. Not from fear, at least, not entirely, but from the weight of knowing this was it. Today wasn't just about defending myself. It was about ending the cycle Olivia had trapped me in. My mom dropped me off early, thinking I needed extra time to calm my nerves before the event. In reality, I wanted to make sure every piece of my plan was ready. I checked the flash drive in my pocket at least 5 times on my way into the building. When I walked into the auditorium, the tech crew was already setting up the projector and sound system. I approached Mr. Harris, our AV club advisor, and handed him the flash drive. Can you make sure this plays before the slideshow? I asked, keeping my voice steady. He looked at me curiously. What is it? Just something important, I said. For the truth. He hesitated, but eventually nodded. All right, I'll make sure it runs. By the time the assembly started, the room was buzzing with chatter. Parents lined the back wall, cameras ready. Students filled the seats, some leaning across aisles to whisper about who would win what award. Olivia was in the second row, right in the center, perfectly positioned for every teacher to see her. She was wearing a soft pink dress, her hair curled just right, her smile sweet enough to convince anyone she belonged in a Hallmark movie. But when her eyes met mine across the room, her smile didn't reach them. It was a challenge. The ceremony went on as expected at first. Students walked across the stage to collect their certificates. Teachers gave speeches. Applause echoed in waves. Then it was time for the slideshow, a tradition where photos and short bios of each senior played on the screen. Mr. Harris tapped the mic. Before we begin, we have a short presentation submitted by one of our seniors. They wanted to share a few words with the class. I saw Olivia tilt her head, curious. The lights dimmed. The screen lit up, not with pictures of sports games or group hugs, but with the title card. The truth matters. Then the screenshots appeared. First, the group chat messages Emily had shown me, Olivia bragging about the fake essay, telling Madison to spread it, planning my banquet humiliation. Her name lit up on every bubble, impossible to deny. Gasps rippled through the audience. I heard whispers start immediately. Then came side-by-side images. My real scholarship essay with its original timestamp and the doctored version that had been posted online. Highlighted differences made it clear which one was the fake. Finally, a simple statement appeared on the screen. Some friendships end quietly. Others end like this. I choose the truth. The room was dead silent. When the lights came back up, all eyes were on Olivia. Her face had drained of color, her lips parted slightly like she couldn't believe what she'd just seen. Madison leaned away from her in her seat, and even some of her other friends were shifting uncomfortably. Mr. Harris cleared his throat and, without acknowledging what had just happened, moved on to the slideshow. But the energy in the room had shifted. Completely. After the assembly, I stepped into the hallway, my heart still pounding. My legs felt shaky, but not from fear, from release. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't have to wait long for Olivia to find me. She stormed up, her heels clicking against the tile. What the hell was that? She hissed, her voice low enough that only I could hear. The truth, I said simply. Her eyes narrowed. You ruined me. No, I said, my voice steady. You did that yourself. I just stopped letting you hide it. She shook her head, almost laughing in disbelief. You think anyone's going to forgive you for humiliating me like that? I'm not looking for forgiveness, I said. I'm looking for peace. For a moment, she just stood there, like she wanted to say something else. But then she turned sharply and walked away, her head held high even though her hands were trembling. By the end of the day, the fallout had already begun. The post about my fake essay was deleted. People who had ignored me for months stopped me in the hallway to apologize, or at least to say they hadn't known. Teachers smiled at me again. It didn't erase the months of hurt. It didn't bring back the friend I'd lost. But it was something. And maybe that was enough. Graduation came a few weeks later. I walked across the stage, accepted my diploma, and spotted my mom in the crowd beaming with pride. I didn't look for Olivia, though I knew she was somewhere in the audience. When the ceremony ended, I found myself standing alone near the edge of the field, looking out at the sunset over the bleachers. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned, and there she was. Olivia. No makeup this time, no perfect smile, just tired eyes. I guess this is it, she said softly. I guess so. For a long moment, we just stood there, the weight of everything between us hanging heavy in the air. I didn't think you'd actually fight back, she admitted. You always let me lead. Not anymore, I said. She nodded once, then looked away. Well, good luck, I guess. Yeah, you too. She walked off without another word. And just like that, the girl I thought would be in my life forever was gone. As I left the stadium that night, I realized something important. The scholarship wasn't the real prize. The real prize was knowing I could stand up for myself, even when it meant standing alone. And no matter what came next, college, new friends, new challenges, I wasn't going to forget that ever again.